You've made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Posture Screen, Imaging Services, Zinget Solutions, Chiro Moguls, 5-Star Management, Chiro Health USA, Local Gold, Rhino Coaching, Mahalo Wellness, Chiro Thin, Peter Goldman Zone School of Healing, Go Get Talks, Fit to Lift, The Goodman Factor, Unmarket Your Practice, and McCaffrey Clinical Mentoring. Let's hustle. Hey guys, Jim Chester coming to you live here. This is a Chiro Hustle live stream. This is actually a sponsorship edition, but also you guessed it, a morning edition. I have not Doctor, but I have Manke with me here, and she is coming in from Spearfish, South Dakota, which is just a little bit. I just want to welcome you, Meg, to the show. And this is going to be something that we're going to talk about occupational health in the workplace. So what is occupational health and how can it help chiropractors bridge the gap into the community when it comes to healthy habits at the workplace?
Yeah, well, I had an opportunity to work with a DC in this area, and when I was the HR manager at a gold mine. So as you can imagine, we had lots of potential for work comp claims and issues, health issues for our employees outside of work because we have a really super active population, lots of hikers, lots of hunters. And so what I was really after was someone to help me as a HR professional and working with our safety team, help me have a better dynamic, a better understanding, and frankly, more control over what our occupational health looked like. Meaning we wanted to be able to help people stay healthy and get healthy faster if they were unhealthy. So if I have potential for a back injury, shoulder injury, knee injury, can we detect that earlier and do something about it? Prepared for work exercises or support, PT, to keep them at work? And if not, if we miss the boat, how do we get people to work faster and actually healthy? Because one of the things that you run into as an employer is doctors aren't necessarily, we hope that they're always looking out for the patient's best health, but sometimes they aren't. Sometimes an employee says, gee, man, I got to get back to work, doc. I don't have time for this bad shoulder. I'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And they happen to be buddies with the doctor or who knows. So the doc signs off on it and that employee comes back to work, and then you get to own another work comp claim as an employer. So building a relationship with the healthcare professional really changes the game and how you can manage occupational health in your corporation.
Well, I think that you kind of summed it up for us, what you've done, and working with a gold mine. And I'm just curious, how did you guys line up with a gold mine, and how did that work for you guys to be able to influence it with, shared care, I guess, with the chiropractor?
Well, as in many things with business, it's all about the network. So, knowing the same people in different groups or knowing people in different groups and, listening to, asking questions, listening to people's issues and thinking about how you can speak in binary, from the office of the chiropractor, how do you speak in the same terms that a corporation speaks in? What are their issues? What are their pain points? Talk to those things. Get rid of your, whatever, all of that mumbo jumbo that you learned as a doctor. Thank you for going through, the hardship financially and emotionally of getting your doctorate in chiropractic care. But nobody knows those words. So stop using them. Use real words that people use in business. Like, man, I got somebody with a bum shoulder. Like, don't say, oh, well, they have rotator cuff, blah, blah, something. I don't know what that means. So I would say it's about your network, and then also getting out in those places where business owners are and listening for what their language is. So you can speak their language, so you can say, I can fix that problem.
Absolutely. And I think that that's really important, is talking the language. You said it right there. It's like your network is your net worth. And it's not what you know, it's who you know, but it's not who you know, it's how you treat who you know. So there's a lot to be said about community building and becoming that trusted resource for the healthcare of that one business or maybe multiple businesses. I know that one of the things that you and Bob have done, Dr. Bob have done, is you've been able to save businesses money through this type of occupational health system with Fit to Lift. Tell us a little bit about what those metrics look like that you're aware of and how it's actually helped the businesses with work comp cases.
Yeah, we reduced work comp cases for one client we worked with. We reduced work comp cases extensively. I won't speak to the percentage because I don't know it and I don't want to speak out of line or out of turn. So, we did reduce their work comp cases, not just the number of work comp cases. So this particular client didn't have a lot of work comp because they did a pretty good job of managing it, but they had some really high dollar claims. So we were able to not only reduce the number of claims they had, but also reduce the amount paid out on claims. And we also reduced the time it takes to get people back to work. So, and I think the savings over the course of about 3 years with that client was right around $500,000. And they had one. So those are the things that corporations want to hear. You have to be able to share those kinds of numbers with them to say, listen, here's how we're going to help you reduce costs, because you're asking them to implement a lot of change. And if you want any organization, change is my thing. I'm a change expert. So if you want to implement any change for anyone else, you have to explain to them what the benefits are of that first, or they're probably not going to buy in. So one example, though, so those are the numbers they want to hear. One example of a case that we were able to help a client manage out of. And these are the kinds of juicy stories you have to share. So they had a guy who, I think it was a shoulder. It was sort of unclear as to where he got hurt. He said it was at work, but he didn't report right away like he was supposed to. But he reported just inside the 48-hour window. So they had to decide if they thought it was work comp and if they were going to submit it, or if actually, it should go out on his short-term disability as a personal injury. But they decided to take it because they said, no, we're going to be, as fair as we can to this guy. We're not really sure. So we'll say it's work comp. They took the claim and he kind of just fiddled around and, oh boy, I missed my doctor's appointment. Oh gosh, I missed my PT appointment. Well, I'm not sure I can get back to work. And so they said, because in the state of South Dakota, you can't direct care. So you can't say thou shalt go to said person as a medical professional, whatever. But if you do align and build a relationship with a medical professional, you can say this is the requirement in order for you to be safe to come back to work. And that's a very different thing. So that client had this sort of vetting and somebody that they trusted to call and say, they didn't pass. We recommended some work hardening, physical therapy, and then we'll try him again in a couple weeks. Well, this guy didn't hold up his end of the deal, ended up quitting the business. And because, he didn't want to come back to work, but he wanted to come back to work to get paid. But when we said, no, you have to actually be healthy to be here, he quit, and we saved them a ton of money in not having to have a bad employee, not having to have a hurt employee, not having to have, that weird, bad gossip going on in their company.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Posture Screen, Imaging Services, Zinget Solutions, Chiro Moguls, 5-Star Management, Chiro Health USA, Local Gold, Rhino Coaching, Mahalo Wellness, Chiro Thin, Peter Goldman Zone School of Healing, Go Get Talks, Fit to Lift, The Goodman Factor, Unmarket Your Practice, and McCaffrey Clinical Mentoring. Let's hustle. Yeah, and I think that those conversations are really important to keep away from the water cooler as well. And I think that it does a lot for the culture of a workplace. And like we were talking offline, the culture from when I graduated college in 2002 to 2019, going to 2020, almost 18 years, the culture's changed quite a bit in the workplace. And the people that run the businesses, they want to be able to utilize the benefits that they cover for their employees a lot more effectively. And what you're saying right there is that is a huge selling point to corporations to implement the Fit to Lift systems, because so many people want to save money, they want healthier employees, but they also want to have a more dynamic conversation around the water cooler where the guy that's there that you were just mentioning doesn't show up and kind of what do they say, one apple can spoil a whole bushel, and
Right.
one bad apple. So if you keep the bad apples out and you keep people that are there that want to be there, that want to show up to work and want to be a part of a moving force, instead of somebody like, one of the things I've learned in marketing is that you have to work on the blocking and tackling of an operation. You just have to have good, line presence, and you have to have good fundamentals. And when you have somebody there that doesn't want to be there, then you're not blocking and tackling properly, and you're not doing the fundamentals. And a lot of times you have to go for the Hail Mary or that like trick play in the fourth quarter trying to win the game, when really all it is we have to set the fundamentals. And a lot of the fundamentals is due to good quality health and good alliances with healthcare providers. And that's why when I met Dr. Bob, I fell in love with Fit to Lift, because I realized that you guys were offering solutions. And what that does is offers solutions to the benefits that are already awarded to the people working in corporations so they can utilize them more effectively. And like you said, the juicy part of this is it actually saves businesses money. And that's something that chiropractic care has been doing for 124 years, is saving people money when they invest in themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a global approach to getting chiropractic care, out into corporations, out into the business world, and saying, we're a real solution.
So one of the things I wanted to get to, Meg, is I know that we're this interview together. What does it look like if somebody wanted to work with Fit to Lift?
Yeah, you want to get a hold of the Fit to Lift gang, which I think you're going to put the website in the comments on this live, and just get a hold of Dr. Bob and his team with Fit to Lift. And then they do everything from checking out what your jobs are currently, what the job tasks are, what are people doing versus what do your job descriptions say they're doing? Do you need to modify job descriptions so you don't have an employment law case on your hands? Do you need to modify jobs so people aren't doing things that, are going to hurt them potentially indefinitely? So you start there, job task analysis, and then decide, what all the different jobs are on site. And then there's all kinds of education on the Fit to Lift website when you sign into the portal, so that you can educate people on what this change means, how it's going to help them. Not that you're, basically some of the concerns you hear people say is, oh gosh, employees say, you're going to big brother me. You're watching everything I do. Nope. We're giving you access to all of your information so you can watch everything that you do. So it's all kinds of education on the portal, so you can help help your people get through the change, ask any questions they want. And then Fit to Lift and their group with Dr. Bob stays with you as you progress through all this with the testing and the technology that they use to do all the job function testing and the testing of people for strength and mobility. So, I mean, there's so much to it. Like that's just basically scratching the surface, but that's kind of a general how it works.
So I know that we're wrapping up this interview because I know you have to jump at the top of the hour, but I wanted to thank you for being on with me today. And I think that anybody that is interested in getting out to their community and being more resourceful and making connections and actually making more money as a chiropractor, this is a really intelligent system to implement, because like you said, there are many layers to this onion. And when people start to realize what it can actually offer to them as a business model, it actually makes them money. And that's the thing that I love about what Bob has done, is he's created a system that makes people money, and it gets people the idea that chiropractic is safe, affordable, and effective. And a lot of the times people don't take care of themselves, Meg, is because number one, they don't know where to go. Number two, they don't know who to trust. So if we start getting to them at that fundamental level and we say, hey, you can trust us, and hey, this is safe, affordable, and effective, now we're changing the culture of that community and at that workplace.
For sure. Yeah. And I know Fit to Lift is looking for chiropractors all over the nation right now to support some of the clients they have and support some of the requests they've got. So if you're interested as a chiropractor and knowing more about Fit to Lift, I'd really encourage you to find out how to get involved. It's an incredible way to be a resource to your entire community through the businesses in your area.
Well, awesome, Meg. I just want to say thank you for being my guest today on the Chiro Hustle live stream. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you'd like to share with our audience before we jump off today?
I don't think so. I think we covered most of the bases.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close out then and tell everybody you're just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys in the next interview. I'll talk to you soon, Meg. Thank you. Thank you for listening to Chiro Hustle Live. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.